This video has part 1 for a video I already made. If you have already seen part 1, use the timestamp below to skip to part 2. Mirai was a sad, lonely, depressed, ugly, talentless loser who had no will to live, basically the same as you. Yes, I am talking to you, the person who is watching this video. On the day of his middle school graduation, Mirai Kakehashi decides it's time to leave the earth, so he jumps off the roof of a really tall building. Unfortunately, before he could hit the ground, his life is suddenly spared by special rank angel waifu Nasse, who catches him and takes him to the roof. Mirai was shocked and couldn't believe what happened. Nasse explained that she's already aware that Mirai's parents and younger brother Akira died in a car accident before Mirai was taken in by his abusive aunt and uncle. Nasse offers Mirai the hope of freedom with wings and the hope of love with arrows as angel tools. Mirai initially rejects the offer and says Nasse couldn't make him happy. Nasse explains her powers, and Mirai eventually gives in and chooses both. He still didn't believe her until she gave him her powers, and he grew wings and started flying. It took some time, but he was eventually able to control his wings and fly normally. He starts to cry like a baby while he flies as he is finally able to achieve his dream of flying. Nasse shockingly reveals that Mirai's parents and Akira were killed by Mirai's aunt and uncle. Mirai was shocked and couldn't believe what he heard. He always blamed himself for the way his aunt and uncle treated him. Nasse told him that if he didn't believe, he should shoot his aunt with the red arrow and make her tell him the truth. Mirai went home and shot his red arrow at his aunt in order to verify the truth. His aunt fell in love with him since that was the red arrow's power. He asked her for the truth, and she told him that his uncle came up with the idea to kill Mirai's parents to inherit the money they had. She also explained that they left Mirai alive so they could claim the insurance money. Mirai was shocked and told his aunt that she should leave the earth, so she poked herself to death right in front of his uncle. After learning the truth, Mirai decides he will continue to live and find happiness for his parents' sake. 3 days later, Mirai tells Nasse that he wants ordinary happiness, desiring enough money to improve his standard of living. Nasse suggests that Mirai could shoot his white arrow at his uncle and his kids in order to ensure a painless death and inherit their money, but Mirai says he won't do it. Nasse explains that there are currently 13 god candidates, all competing to become the successor of God, and each having their own angel and powers. God speaks to a group of angels, saying that he has worked hard to make the world better for humans, but now it is time for him to step down. The group of angels is identified as the 13 angels who are responsible for choosing and guiding candidates to become the new god. God mentions that they have 999 days left to find a candidate. Back at the motel, a confused Mirai thinks about the existence of god candidates. Mirai says he doesn't want to become god, but Nasse explains that becoming a god candidate is the best option for him. She argues that it would give him free access to wings and arrows, leading to greater happiness. Mirai turns on the TV and sees a news report about Tama Rodriguez and his love life. Tama brags about dating 5 women at the same time, however the reporter didn't believe such an ugly loser could pull all those women. Mirai notices an angel above Tama and realizes he is a god candidate with the red arrow. Mirai and Nasse conclude that the women have been struck by the red arrow. Concerned for them, Mirai asks Nasse if there's a way to avoid being hit by a red arrow. Nasse explained the 3 rules. Wings are faster than arrows and can dodge them. The arrow's effect lasts for 33 days, and a person can only be hit by the arrow once. In a van in an empty parking lot, Tama is surrounded by a dozen women who are fawning over him. The door opens and someone in a suit leans in, extending their arm and shooting a white arrow at Tama. This kills Tama, and he falls out of the van. The man stands over Tama's dead body and notes that he only got a red arrow. The women, now free from the red arrow's influence, run away in shock. The man in the suit looks at the scene with disapproval. As Mirai walks away from school the next day, he sees a news report on his phone about Tama's death. Nasse, cheerful as ever, tries unsuccessfully to cheer up Mirai as they go shopping for school supplies. Eventually, they come across a bank robbery in progress. The situation becomes dire as the criminals barricade themselves in with hostages. Suddenly, a man in a mechanical suit appears from the sky. Some people in the crowd note that he resembles the popular character Metropolitan. Mirai notices the man has wings and concludes that he is another god candidate. Metropolitan flies up and hits the police officers with red arrows, which makes them start to simp over him. He then shoots one of the criminals with a red arrow and convinces them to surrender. However, another criminal shoots at him, and while Metropolitan dodges, killing the first criminal, Metropolitan gets upset and flies at the second criminal and kills him with a white arrow. After the confrontation, Metropolitan gives a statement to the press, pretending he didn't mean to kill the criminals. He then challenges the remaining 11 candidates to a fight. Mirai panics and tells Nasse to move away so Metropolitan doesn't see him. At Mirai's house, he demands Nasse remove his arrows and wings so he is no longer a god candidate. Nasse says she can't do this because it would lead to Mirai's death. Mirai then asks her to explain the angel ranking system. Nasse explains that special rank angels get red and white arrows and wings, first rank angels get red arrows and wings, and second rank angels get either wings or red arrows. She also mentions that while only 3 special ranks probably exist, angels can be promoted or demoted. Mirai thinks about how dangerous Metropolitan is, but Nasse reminds him about the school opening ceremony tomorrow. Mirai decides to attend school knowing he can't find happiness staying at home. The next day, Nasse teases Mirai about going to high school, saying he only joined to be near his crush Saki Hanakego. Mirai is embarrassed but insists he won't use the red arrow on her. When he arrives at school, he is shocked to see an angel standing above the courtyard with wings growing out of his cheeks. Before he can leave, the angel moves close to his face and stares at him. However, things take a dramatic turn when Mirai is shot by a red arrow of love by his crush Saki Hanakego. Under the influence of her angel revel, she uses the red arrow on Mirai to ensure his cooperation and protection of her. Mirai, who has always had feelings for Saki, is now even more determined to protect her despite the manipulative nature of the situation. Saki tells Mirai to meet her in her room after the ceremony, so he leaves to go to her room. In the room, Revel tells Mirai that he has to protect Saki because she doesn't have a white arrow or wings. Revel teaches Mirai how to fly with Saki since she doesn't have any wings. He tells Mirai to wrap his rings around her hand, and Mirai finally gets to touch a girl for the first time in his life. He holds her and starts to blush as his lollipop starts to touch her peach. He holds her tight and starts flying in the sky with her. He takes her far up into the sky, and they start to have a romantic moment together. Later in Saki's room, Revel tricks Mirai into sacrificing himself by going after Metropolitan. However, he gets stopped by Nasse. She explains that Revel wanted him and Metropolitan to both die so Saki could take their power since angel powers are transferable after death. Since Revel's plan fails, he decides they should work together. They decide Mirai should live with Saki to protect her. Mirai's face turns red and his lollipop grows as he starts to think about finally getting Saki's peach. A month later, the red arrow effect finally goes away, revealing that Mirai has feelings for Saki even without the effect of the arrow. Mirai vows to stop Metropolitan since he gets in the way of Mirai eating Saki's peach. Meanwhile, Metropolitan was busy being Batman and stopping criminals. He sends a message to all the other god candidates through a TV broadcast proposing a meeting to discuss who should become the next god. They understand the danger, but also realize the necessity of confronting Metropolitan. They go to the stadium and notice a bunch of angels in the sky, suggesting that there are other candidates in the stadium. Metropolitan finally shows up, however. 2 other god candidates, Metro Blue and Metro Yellow, show up. They immediately shoot a red arrow at Metropolitan, but the arrow didn't pierce him. The arrow didn't pierce Metropolitan because he was fake. The person in the suit wasn't the real Metropolitan, and he was hit with a red arrow by Metropolitan, which is why the red arrow didn't pierce him. We see a backstory of Metro Blue and Metro Yellow. Like Mirai, they were lonely, depressed losers who got rejected by every college that they applied to. They both decide to leave the Earth together, and that's when they receive 2 hot angels who gave them powers. In the present, Metro Blue and Metro Yellow explain that Metropolitan was setting a trap so he can kill them, and they saw right through his plans. Metropolitan appears on the screen and confirms that they were right, however, they didn't figure out his entire plan. A little girl with angels appears and asks to join Metro Blue and Metro Yellow so Metropolitan doesn't kill her. They told her they will accept her if she allows them to shoot her with a red arrow, however. Metropolitan shows up and shoots her before they could do it. He takes her away and tells Metro Blue and Metro Yellow to leave before he kills them. Metro Blue and Metro Yellow ask other god candidates to join them, and Metro Green and Pink show up. Metro Blue and Metro Yellow shoot Metro Green and Pink to ensure that Metropolitan wasn't controlling them. Metropolitan appears behind them and shoots both Metro Blue and Metro Yellow with arrows. Metropolitan explains that he distracts them with Metro Green and Pink and uses that opportunity to switch places with the fake Metropolitan behind them. He then takes the angel powers from Metro Blue as his angel takes his body away. This display of power and cruelty leaves Mirai and Saki in a state of shock and fear. Metropolitan shoots Metro Yellow with his red arrow and handcuffs him to the girl. He then threatens to shoot Metro Yellow with a white arrow, which makes him desperately try to fly away. However, Metropolitan kills him. He then threatens to shoot the girl, which makes Mirai start to panic. He wanted to save the girl, but he didn't know how to do it. The girl's angel show up and starts begging for her, but Metropolitan didn't care. He was enjoying them screaming and begging for their life like a psychopath. Mirai gets upset and is about to help the girl, but Nasse shows up and tells him to stop. While Mirai was looking up at Nasse, a mysterious person noticed and took a picture of Mirai. Nasse goes to talk with Metropolitan, who told her his angel was hotter than her. Let me go verify his claims for scientific purposes, of course. Yep, he's telling the truth. Metropolitan decides that if no more candidates are gonna come out, he will just kill the girl since she's useless. After having a talk, no jutsu battle with Metropolitan, Nasse tells all the god candidates to leave the stadium by blending in with the crowd. Metropolitan takes the wings and arrows from the candidates that he killed, then leaves the stadium. Mirai and Saki return to her home, where Saki expresses her hatred for Metropolitan. Mirai is surprised that even someone like Saki can feel such strong hate towards someone. Revel thinks the police will get involved since Metropolitan killed people on TV, but he believes Metropolitan will escape due to his angel abilities. Mirai wants to kill him, but he's too much of a coward to do it. Saki suggests they should team up with other god candidates who fear Metropolitan. A creepy man on her balcony agrees, which shocks everyone. He told them he was a god candidate, and they should shoot him to see if he's lying, but Nasse told them that's not necessary. The man explains to them that he has terminal cancer and had 3 months left to live, but before he could die, he got a hot angel from God. The angel told them that if he became God before he dies, he can live forever, so he accepted the offer. However, he quickly realized that he may not live long enough to become God. He decided to use his powers to scam rich people and gave the money to his wife and child so they can be safe and happy when he dies. He continued to explain that he wants to kill Metropolitan to protect his family. There is no telling what someone like him would do if he becomes God. He also explains that he was the creepy man at the stadium who took a picture of them. Mirai agrees to help on one condition. The man must continue his treatment. He doesn't want the man to give up on dying and should try to live for his family. Meanwhile, we get a face reveal of Metropolitan when he is in his mansion thinking about how to use the arrows he obtained. In Saki's room, the man introduces himself as Makoto Nanato, and his angel is named Mirai, the angel of knowledge. Nasse remembers when Metropolitan told her his angel was hotter than her, which made her realize his angel must be Miza. Makoto explains that he is a clothes designer, so he will design clothes for them to hide their identity from Metropolitan. Meanwhile at school, Metropolitan's friend invites him to come look at girls with him. His friend looks at girls he can't have because he's an ugly, disgusting loser who is afraid to talk to girls. After school, Metropolitan goes home and gives flowers to his sister, who is frozen in a giant box. His goal is to become God and bring her back to life. Meanwhile in Saki's room, they make a plan to find the other god candidates. Makoto, Saki, Mirai and their angels are watching the news when they see a report about a serial killer targeting middle school girls. They realized Metropolitan has given his extra wings and red arrows to a previously jailed psycho. She uses the red arrow to manipulate and kill girls. Basically the female version of Jeffrey Dahmer. We see her in a room giving some extra lessons to one of the girls she shot with a red arrow. Honestly, I wouldn't complain if I was the one she shot with her arrow. Metropolitan walks in and sees her while she is on the floor with her peach in the air with nothing covering it. She hugs Metropolitan, which made the other girl jealous. Metropolitan was upset because Mimamai killed a cute girl instead of an ugly one. He told her to do as he says, then left her to continue giving the other girl extra lessons. Mimamai tied her up and told her she was going to eat her peach, but instead she pulled out a knife to kill her. Makoto suggests they should find Mimamai as quickly as possible and use her to distract Metropolitan and shoot him with the white arrow. However, Mirai is still a coward who doesn't want to kill anyone and prefers using the red arrow to capture him. Mirai said he would rather die than kill someone even if it's self-defense. Just the thought of killing Metropolitan gives Mirai a panic attack. Holy crap, this guy is genuinely an idiot. Who wrote the script for this anime? The next day, the news reveals that Mimamai killed a girl found on top of a tower, indicating Metropolitan's message to other god candidates about Mimamai having wings. After seeing the news, Makoto prepares by arming Mirai and Saki with weapons and introduces his angel beret to everyone. Makoto gives a badass speech about protecting his family and not dying without a fight. Meanwhile, we see Mimamai over the girl she killed feeling intense pleasure from what she just did. Metropolitan sends her to go kill more girls to try and lure out more god candidates. Mimamai was flying in the sky above the city, which shocked everyone. Mimamai uses a red arrow to attack the police officers investigating the tower and tell them to prevent anyone else from coming to the roof. However, one of the police was no simp. He was able to resist the effects of the red arrow. Makoto and Mirai put on armored suits and prepare to confront Mimamai at the tower. They confront Mimamai while she was on the roof scrolling through TikTok. Makoto was using himself to bait Metropolitan into the open, then Mirai would hide and shoot him. However, their plan got interrupted when Metropolitan blew up the entire tower. Makoto is injured by the explosion and falls, but Mirai catches him in the air and carries him to safety. It seems Makoto is dead, but then he coughs, indicating he's still alive. Before they can escape, Metropolitan sneaks up on them and declares it's time for them to die. Mirai questions how Metropolitan can kill so easily, which triggers a long, boring conversation about morality. Metropolitan told them that another building is rigged with bombs and says one of them must sacrifice their life to save the people there. Makoto says he's lying and Metropolitan decides to press the button, but Makoto tells him to stop. Makoto decides to surrender, so when Metropolitan shoots him, Mirai can shoot Metropolitan with his red arrow. However, Mirai starts to have another panic attack and almost poops his pants. Metropolitan shoots his white arrow at Makoto, but Mirai uses his red arrow to deflect the white arrow, a move even Beret didn't know was possible. Mirai starts raging and goes after Metropolitan, but Metropolitan easily dodges all of his attacks. Metropolitan starts shooting white arrows at Mirai, but he blocks them with his red arrow. They started going head-to-head in a one-on-one, but they were both evenly matched. Makoto takes the opportunity to shoot at Metropolitan with his guns and holds him in place for Mirai. Mirai goes in for an attack, but he sees Metropolitan's face through his broken helmet. Metropolitan decides to run away before he gets killed. They return to Saki's place and Mirai is devastated. He realizes he can't kill or hurt anyone, not because he's kind, but because he's a coward. He gives another long, boring speech about how much of a weak loser he is. At school, Saki's friend sees Mirai standing in the shadows like a creep and wants to beat him up. She asked Saki if they are dating, but Saki said she would never date such a ugly, disgusting coward. Meanwhile, Minamikawa observes Kanade surrounded by girls asking about his head wound. He recalls that many girls died after Kanade wished for all the ugly girls to disappear and starts to suspect that Kanade might be Metropolitan. Minamikawa decides to act as if he doesn't know anything. Makoto asks Mirai to draw Metropolitan from memory, but Saki decides to call it a day. Later that night, Saki tells Mirai she wants to sleep with him and asks their angels to give them some privacy. In bed, Mirai thought he was finally gonna get her peach, but instead she told Mirai that she's tired of living. She confesses that she used to bully Mirai due to peer pressure even though they were friends. On graduation day, she went to apologize to Mirai, but she saw him falling from the roof. She felt guilty and decided that she doesn't want to live anymore, so she tried to leave the earth, and that's when Revel showed up. She begs Mirai to kill her for being such an awful person, and he agrees nonchalantly. He goes outside and takes her up into the sky. He let go of her hand, but she held on to him. Saki realized Mirai wanted her to choose if she wanted to die or not. He lets her go and she starts to fall, but she quickly grabs on and says she doesn't want to die. She apologizes and asks for Mirai's forgiveness, but he tells her he was never angry. The next day, Saki seems transformed and more confident, which shocks everyone. She even finds a larger building for them to live in together. Saki asks for wings, but Beret explains that a god candidate has to die for that to happen. Makoto told her she could take his wings after he dies, but Saki says this wouldn't make her happy. Revel decides to become a first-rank angel, which would allow her to get wings. Beret tells Revel that to become first rank, he has to be special in some way. He decides he will become the Angel of Knowledge by acquiring more knowledge than Beret. Sakatani Hajime is torturing a private detective to find out who shot him with a red arrow. Meanwhile, Makoto, Mirai, Saki and the angels move into a church. Makoto gives Saki a suit of armor that resembles a cat to protect her identity. Saki goes into a room and sees Revel consuming knowledge so he can increase his rank. Makoto's red arrow returns to him, which only happens when someone he shot with it dies. Suspecting Metropolitan is involved, Makoto and Mirai put on their suits and rush to check on Makoto's wife and child. Hajime is seen standing outside Makoto's home, but Makoto ignores him and breaks into the house to search for his family. He searched the house but was unable to find them. Mirai quickly fires a red arrow at Hajime, but Hajime dodges it and flies away. Hajime heads to an amusement park where he's holding Makoto's family in a glass house. We see a flashback to Hajime's past where he was a poor, ugly, disgusting loser since the day he was born. One day he went home and found his mother had died. He decided he didn't want to live anymore, and that's when the angel Balthus saved him. He used the red arrow to make a girl fall in love with. They started kissing, but when he looked in the mirror, he was so ugly he scared himself. He saw Metropolitan on TV and started to fangirl over him. He decided to get plastic surgery and money so he can be like Metropolitan. For the first time ever, all the girls were simping over him. However, even though he was handsome, he still didn't know how to talk to women. He saw Metropolitan on TV fighting and decided he would protect him no matter the cost. Using his red arrow, he was able to track down Metropolitan. He used his red arrow on a girl and made her deliver a message to Metropolitan asking for a meeting. Metropolitan decided to kill the girl since she now knows his secret. At the meeting, Metropolitan sent someone who looked like him because he didn't trust Hajime. Hajime explains that he wants to be Metropolitan's servant. Metropolitan told Hajime about his idea to capture Makoto's family and told him to help with the plan if he wants to earn his trust. In the present, Makoto then receives a call from Metropolitan, daring him to come rescue his family if he can. Makoto and Mirai leave quickly to rescue his family. Saki feels useless because she's not able to help them fight. They see Hajime on the glass tower with Makoto's family inside. Makoto goes inside the glass house, but Hajime reveals it was a trap. Mirai tries to shoot Hajime with a white arrow, but he hesitates and misses his shot. Makoto tries to escape the glass house, but he fails. Mirai prepares to use a red arrow, but Metropolitan appears and surprises him, leaving Mirai outnumbered. Metropolitan told Mirai that he should run, but he refuses. Mirai decides to enter the glass house himself to protect Makoto and his family. To create a distraction, Mirai tells Makoto that he knows a way to escape. Makoto picks up his wife, and Mirai takes the daughter, and they fly around inside the glass house so fast that it seems like they've disappeared. Metropolitan said Makoto loves his family, which makes Hajime confused because no one has ever loved an ugly loser like him before. Metropolitan decides to leave while Hajime waits outside for Mirai and Makoto to eventually get tired and stop moving. Mirai told Makoto that they will leave the box, but no one knows if they actually left or not. However, Metropolitan isn't fooled and knew they were lying. Half a day passes and Hajime thinks they have actually left, but Metropolitan told him to keep watching the building. Meanwhile, Saki is sad because Mirai and Makoto haven't returned yet. She feels guilty for not being able to help them. Revel starts to feel guilty that he can't give Saki wings and begins to cry. Both Saki and Revel are shocked because angels aren't supposed to cry. Because of this, God promotes Revel to a first-rank angel. Revel, now the angel of emotions, grants Saki wings so she can fly. They meet up with the other angels. Saki shoots Hajime with a red arrow, making him fall in love with her. He tries to tell Metropolitan, but is commanded by Saki to keep it a secret. Hajime starts to simp over Saki by admiring her curves and how amazing she makes him feel. He tells Metropolitan that he has to use the bathroom, which shocks him. He told Hajime that he can leave to use the bathroom. Hajime uses the opportunity to confront Saki and confess his feelings. Saki tells Hajime to rescue her friends from the House of Mirrors, or else she will be upset. Ignoring Metropolitan's orders, Hajime begins to care about Mirai and Makoto and tries to break the glass dome to free them. Metropolitan tried to convince him to stop, but he refused and continued to try and break the glass. Suddenly, Metropolitan arrives with his followers who are former soldiers. Mirai and Makoto break through the glass dome using a crack that Hajime made in the glass. Saki takes Aya and Nanika back to the church far away from the fight. Mirai, Saki, and Makoto use red arrows on each other, so no one else can use red arrows on them. Ruji starts shooting at Hajime, but he dodges Ruji's gunfire easily. Mirai and Saki manage to restrain Ruji using their wings, which allows Hajime to cut off Ruji's right arm. Ruji retreats to a doctor so he can try and heal his arm. Fuyuko then threatens to release an airborne virus that could kill millions. Metropolitan forces Mirai to be the first to test an experimental drug that can melt a person. Metropolitan is frustrated with Mirai's innocent belief that he shouldn't kill anyone. Makoto feels helpless because he's unable to come up with a way to save Mirai. Saki begs Mirai not to go, but Metropolitan mocks them, saying the worst mistake they made was shooting each other with red arrows. Mirai thinks about choosing between being injected with a chemical that melts people or letting everyone in the world die. Mirai uses his white arrow to shoot the virus-filled ball, which kills the virus. The white arrow worked because the virus is made from humans. However, Mirai still can't bring himself to kill the woman even though Makoto urges him to. Weak and exhausted, Makoto falls to the ground but manages to grab a rifle. He aims the rifle gun at Metropolitan, but he is unfazed because he can easily dodge bullets. Metropolitan fires a white arrow at Mirai, and syringes filled with a deadly chemical are launched at him. To avoid them, Mirai would have to let go of the woman's hand, but he can't bring himself to do it. Seeing Mirai in trouble, Saki flies over to protect him. When Hajime sees that Saki is in danger, he steps forward and cuts the wires controlling the syringes except for one. He uses his katana to kill the bioweapon woman, but the last syringe pierces him. He melts away and Saki inherits his wings and arrows. Metropolitan blames Mirai's hesitation for Hajime's death, then calls his fallen allies fools. Makoto faints due to his sickness and Metropolitan takes the opportunity to shoot him, but Mirai saves him. He wanted to take him to a hospital, but Makoto said he wanted to stay and see Metropolitan die. The young god candidate he recruited flies away, not wanting to die. Metropolitan and Mirai decide to fight one-on-one. This is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe for more videos.